And welcome back to Blue Shirts Buzz, where we talk everything New York Rangers. I'm your host, Matt Piscazzi, with my co-host, John Horton. Definitely check out our Twitter at BlueBuzz26. Yeah, we'll hop right into today's episode. So this is it. This is it. Showtime. This is our last episode before the start of the regular season. Wow, we finally get to say that. That's incredible. We've been waiting a long time to say that. Thank you to those of you who stuck it out with us through the off season. Obviously this is still the end of the off season here, but we were just really excited that I think we had a pretty we made it nice, we made it fun, we had some good content for you guys, but hockey's here, and it's this is when the rubber hits the road. This is when we get some real stuff to watch, some real stuff to analyze, some real stuff to talk about. None of this preseason action and none of this boring off season stuff. So I am incredibly happy, and I imagine that you are buzzing as well over there. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, yeah, boring off season is could not be more of an understatement. It's finally here. It's time to it's time to lock in. It's time to go. Half the team's injured for whatever reason. Not half the team, but some good players are out. Wednesday's opening night game. I'm pretty sure it's at Pittsburgh. It's not a home game, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but a good one nonetheless. The Penguins are at the end of a dynasty, and they're going to try and make a few more runs if possible with Sidney Crosby and Malkin and Letang and all those guys. So this is last season I've been watching more of the NHL inside the NHL face-off stuff on Amazon. It's like highlighting a lot of the last season's playoffs. There's an episode of Truba in there. And of course, he mentions all the crap he gets for his hits. His wife mentions it, this and that, and then they show a replay of him elbowing someone in the jaw. So I thought that was really, really well done on the production studio side. As much as I and many other members of the New York Rangers fan base really can't stand Trouba on this team, just for his lack of play and controversial aspects here and there. He does have good metrics and blocking shots and physicality and grittiness. Not for $8 million a year, but that's
No.
that's the past,
No.
because this is the year that we really have to try and win it all. Because after this season, there's massive contracts that need to be signed in Igor Shesterkin, Alexei Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, Ryan Lindgren, Capo Caco, and there's no way we can maybe keep
The
three of
list goes
those.
on.
Yeah, the list does go. Jimmy VC too, I think, is up, but he's Jimmy VC.
Mm,
So we could probably only keep maybe two, if not three, of those contracts. And most
yeah.
importantly, and saddeningly is not a word, but I'm going to say sadly, this is Sam Rosen, the legendary broadcaster for the New York Rangers. This is his last year, most
Sad.
likely as a broadcaster. He is 81 years old. Last two seasons, fans and other people have been kind of pointing out the fact that he's mixing names up, seems a little off at times. I know he had a health scare earlier this year with a
Yeah.
heat issue. He's lived an incredible life, 40 years of broadcasting with an incredible, historic, instantly recognizable voice. I can't imagine a game without him. I know there's a lot of controversy with AI and stuff like that, but honestly, I think he's an exception. I think we should AI script his voice and just just have him do the Rangers broadcasting forever. So I think the pressure of this is the last time the core has a run at it, and Truba himself has said that in the training camp um, locker room interviews, which is no surprise. Everybody agrees that, everybody feels that, and with this being Sam Rosen's last year of broadcasting, and he broadcasted when the Rangers won their last cup in '94. I think it's
Mm,
paramount that he. I know he wouldn't be able to call that because stupid ESPN and other places get it after round one, but still, there's people who
yeah.
like he broadcasts on his own radio station. You could just like pair it up with the game. So
Oh,
that's what I
him
would
and
do.
oh my god, I'm totally blanking on Dave Maloney. Him and Dave
Yeah, yeah,
Maloney, I
Dave
think
Maloney. Yep.
it's, the Hometown Heroes or something like that. There's some like fun name, and they do a radio live commentary on, like, they did it on all the playoff games last year that weren't
Mhm.
broadcast on MSG.
Yeah, no, it's
I mean, you still check it out, but yeah.
yeah, no, it's beautiful. Sam Rosen said that coming into the season, he told his friends and family to be honest with him and say like, "Hey, if I'm losing it, please tell me. I don't
Mhm.
want to let people down." and the Rangers organization, which was awesome to see. They said, "We do not care. Like, you can broadcast
Yeah.
as long as you want. Like, you've earned it." But I guess he came to the realization that this will be his last year, which, man, really does suck. So we can't have a first round exit. We can't have a second round exit. We can't have a championship exit. We have to come home with the cup. No more flat-footedness. No more boneheaded plays. No more Igor Shesterkin being sloppy on his glove side. No more Mika Zibanejad disappearing and not scoring goals for 10 games and saying, "Oh yeah, my 5v5's got to be better." None of that. None of that crap. None of that nonsense. Um, so yeah, we're gonna get into that. Just absolutely excited. Some of the injuries that is unfortunate are Ryan Lindgren, Jimmy Vesey, and Artemi Panarin. Panarin is a lower body. Of course, always got to be hush hush.
Yeah.
He's lower body. He's day to day. He'll probably be back sooner. Lindgren is out weeks, and so is VC. VC was an injury in practice. I'm not sure what happened there. Lindgren got a nasty uppercut when he was fighting on Hedo's behalf, and he's been out ever since. So I don't know if it's a sprained jaw, broken jaw, whatever it is. But him and Panarin were skating as of today, Sunday, on their own, just not practicing. So yeah, we need them back healthy, ready to go. We need Panarin to continue point per game. We need Lindgren to not miss 10 plus games, but he probably will. And I love Jimmy Vesey's game. I think he's an important fourth liner. I hope he's back sooner than later. He plays a really important role in this team.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to have him back after all these
Especially
years.
the money that we pay for him too. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
the
cheap.
minutes that you get from him at $800K a year, you're
Mhm.
just you're not getting those minutes from somebody else at the same price point. That's really where like the VC value comes in for me. I also love that he started off here. He had I want to say kind of like a mixed, he was there were times where it was like, oh my god, like VC, VC, and then other times, but it was also like I feel like he was poorly handled with the regime that was in here at the time, and then like we watched him go, and now we have him back, and he's really solidified himself in that bottom six role.
Mhm.
But and we had talked about it a little bit in our previous episodes with like all the injuries we got in the preseason. Like it's the preseason, people. Can we like relax? Like half of you barely even play like the whole preseason if you're one of these like star guys. So maybe when you are out there, you could like take your foot off the gas a little bit. Like just I don't know,
Mhm.
like you're not going to hit game speed in these games, right? Like yes, you're going to go all out at certain points. You're going to hit kind of like a top speed. You're going to skate fast. You're going to hit hard. Like you're going to try. It's not like you're not going to try, but I feel like your max level in the preseason should be like kind of like here, right? Whereas like your game one, your starting level is going to be, you know, somewhere right here above it. That's kind of my mentality when it comes to preseason. Like you want to try and hit that kind of like game speed. You want to get used to it and everything like that. But at a certain point, it's like protect yourself and like you don't need to go that crazy because look at where we are now.
Mhm.
Probably lucky that more people didn't get hurt. So it is very realistic and likely that we are not going to have all three of those guys against the Penguins. Panarin is the one that I think will be in there, and I'm really hopeful he's in there. Just like given his history against the Penguins too, that'd be really nice to see. And you had pointed out to me before we recorded, the Penguins are going to be hungry. They're coming off of last year where they really disappointed a lot of people. They disappointed themselves. And they definitely could have been more competitive. They could have been in that conversation a little bit more. And they basically played their way out of it. I mean, especially towards the end of the season, they did choke in some of those key games. And there was a point where it was like they're out, drop the mic, and they were kind of just, I want to say, like skating by through the rest of the season. Obviously, no team is ever really just going through the motions, but it gets to a certain point, especially towards the end of the year with those bad teams where it's not happening, and obviously it's hard to watch for the fans. It's hard. I would imagine as a player, it's hard to be in that locker room as well. So yeah, they're going to come out. They're going to be hungry. Sid got that new contract. He's going to be firing on all cylinders, I'm sure. It's not the easiest way to start your season in Pittsburgh, right? This is a bitter rival of ours, and as you all know, the history that's there. So we need to impress. This is when this offseason, there's been that story from these big guys about like needing to be consistent, like needing to improve aspects of their game, needing to show up this year and really ball out. And like you had just previewed, this could be the year. This really, given where the core is going to be at, coming into the end of or going into the end of this year, who are we going to be able to resign? Who's going to walk? We could be looking at a shakeup in the top six after this year, just given the fact that we can't keep everybody. There's not going to be enough money to go around unless we're able to get rid of Truba in a productive way, which realistically, we're probably going to have issues with. We may not be able to get the deal that we want to get. So for a lot of different reasons, there's a lot of pressure on this year, but it's exciting. It's exciting. I kind of want to be a little bit more positive about it and believe that this is when those guys can come out here and take that step. But that starts on Wednesday night. That starts on Wednesday night. So it's going to be really important to see how we come out. If we go down early, how do we respond? If we go up early, how do we hold the lead? What's our defensive play look like? Is Igor rusty? I mean, there's so many different things that, for as happy as I'm going to be watching that game, I think after maybe 5 or 10 minutes, when I kind of get settled in my seat and the nerves are kind of resting a little bit, I'm going to be watching with I don't want to say like a fine tooth comb. I'm not analyzing every single play, but really sitting there and saying to myself, like, okay, what are we seeing? What are we watching? What's going on? What do we have to look forward to? What do we have more questions about? Looking for some
Mhm.
answers to a lot of these questions we bring up this offseason. Obviously, it's just one game, but this is where we start to see some of those things kind of come out and play. So really excited, but nervous, not gonna lie. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously, we're all really excited about the start of hockey, and our sponsor is as well. I think now would be a good time to get a word in about some hockey promotions through DraftKings for our lovely viewers. We appreciate our sponsors, BetterHelp as well out there. But yeah, if you want to give the viewers the good news on DraftKings.
Yeah, absolutely. As Matt said, our sponsor today is DraftKings Sportsbook. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now, absolutely right now, especially for New York Rangers fans and the New York Rangers organization. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's very easy for first timers to get started. Try betting on something very simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, everyone's gonna absolutely love this, especially from this show and from our network. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Excuse me. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
This episode of Blue Shirts Bros is brought to you. Sheesh, I'm gonna restart that one. That was a little tough for me. Sorry, guys.
I like
This
it, though.
episode of Blue Shirts Buzz is brought to you by BetterHelp. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Sometimes it's easy to compare your life to others, especially when you're scrolling through social media. While it might look like other people have it all together, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can live your best life. I've benefited from therapy in the past and would certainly recommend it to others. It helped me learn coping skills, reduce the effects of everyday stress, set boundaries with others, and it empowered me to be the best version of myself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma, it can benefit everyone. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's totally online, super convenient, and it's flexible with your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/THPN. And yes, thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as our lovely sponsors. We are always grateful to be a part of the network and have these wonderful, opportunities to you guys through our great sponsors. But yeah, getting right back into it here. And I know I kind of just laid out my, I'm excited but nervous, everything like that. How are you feeling about Wednesday? I mean, I know we've highlighted a lot of things already here and kind of, I think we've hit all the major points, but now it's kind of getting to the nitty gritty
Mhm,
here. How do you
mhm.
feel after talking about these things, after thinking about a lot of these things? We're finally at the end of the offseason here, going into Wednesday night. Give me a little bit of preview of the game and what you're thinking is going to happen, how you feeling, and I guess then give me what you're most excited about as well and what you're most worried about. 'Cause I'm curious.
Okay. Um, hmm. I'm most excited about an opening night win like last year. That's what I'm most excited about. Um, I think that you need to beat teams like the Penguins in order to get the points you need to get a good playoff position. I mean, we
Right.
won the President's Trophy last year, and that didn't matter, unfortunately, in the end. That Panthers team, oh my God, that Panthers team was just very good, especially you know I know it's a team that beat us, but you just can't help but give flowers to Alexander Barkov. I mean, he is so damn good. I mean, he even
For
was
real
able to
though.
yeah, he was able to even shut down Connor McDavid at times, and
Yeah,
that's impressive. So he's
no joke.
he's a no joke hockey player. I wish we had him on our team, or a player like him on our team. And Mika does have good defensive metrics. The issue is, Barkov has the great defensive metrics and offensive. He's,
Mm.
he's a complete player, just like Sidney Crosby, whereas Mika can only do one or the other. Either he goes off offensively and does nothing
Yeah,
defensively,
it's like,
or he
oh, is
just
he
plays
gonna be really good
defense.
defensively? Well, I get what he's saying, like, he focuses on defense too much, but it's like, bro,
Right.
you are a borderline, like, elite center. Like, we've seen you play this two-way game before. Like,
Yes.
it's not that different.
Yes.
Like,
And
just
you have Fox behind you.
you
So
have done
just,
this before. Like,
yeah.
stop overthinking it, just do it. Sorry to cut you off, but, like,
Yes.
it's just
No,
it's
no, no.
frustrating.
You're
It's
correct.
frustrating with me sometimes, it really is.
It is. And the thing I'm most worried about is just like Igor looking sloppy or rusty or exposed. I mean, he's going up
Okay.
against Sidney Crosby and Malkin, so that's hard enough as it is. But this is his contract year. We still have a few more days, for a contract to get done with an extension, but with like 3 or
Mhm.
4 days, I highly doubt that's going to happen. Um, so Igor is going to be our salvation, like he always has been, which is why he's going to get probably more money than
Yeah.
God. And when it comes to hockey, so yeah, most excited. Just want to walk away with a nice, win and be excited. But I'm also, if we lose, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be like those Ranger fans. They're like, all right, season's over. We lost the first game of 82.
Yeah, right.
Next we're gonna go 0-82 now. Like this is it. This is the end. Um, but yeah, I'm mostly worried about just Igor looking exposed. And as the season goes on along, I'll put this into before I ask you yours. But my biggest issue too is just our third line. I think our third line really needs to be solidified in a certain
Mhm.
position. You see all these championship teams, their third line, either they're a scoring depth addition or they're a defensive depth addition. Ours is just a revolving door of whatever night in and night out.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be solidified. And unfortunately, Brendan Othman just kind of hasn't been playing all that great. He got sent down to Hartford Wolfpack, which is
Yeah.
upsetting to see. But you watch him in training camp, you watch some of the preseason games, and I get it again, the never ending, oh, he's only 21. Right. That's fair. I agree. But another first round pick. You hope more that he can be a solid player.
Mhm.
Um, all I know is that this year's trade deadline, with the amount of 1-year contracts we have, is gonna be crazy. And I think Drury's gonna
Yeah.
be up every single night trying to make some crazy trades with the 1-year contracts. Don't be surprised if Lindgren and Kako and, man, maybe even, no, not Trouba, but like Trouba would be like an off-season thing. But like Lindgren and Kako, I could definitely see being shipped off.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe even some of the fourth liners. I would hate, it's VC's last year. I think he should play it out with us. I think he's an important role. That would suck. But
Mhm.
hey, if we get something in regards. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
mine for Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm curious what your biggest
Mhm.
hopes and fears are.
So, I mean, and I guess before I get into those, I will say just on the Othman thing, I don't think this is the last time we'll see Othman touch the league this year. Like, I think he is going to be somebody that we're gonna see get some ice time. I think it's a little bit disappointing. I think we were hoping that he was gonna be like ready to kind of solidify himself in a bottom six role at this point and really, prove himself because we've seen him play and he played pretty well, especially it was like a few games and we saw some really good stuff from him. We also saw some like okay stuff from him. It is one of those, it's growing pains, right? Like you pointed out how young this kid is. I mean, he's really hasn't fully developed yet. So I'm not like, oh my God, he's not playing this year. And that's why I say like I think he is going to play this year. I just don't think that right now they're thinking that he's ready to take a step. But you have a really good point with that third line. And I don't want to say that the third I don't think the third line is my worry. I think our bottom six in general is where I'll go with my kind of worry
That's fair.
because we have pieces and we have guys that fit in those roles. It's not like we don't have depth pieces. It's not like we don't have the younger guys that you can kind of throw in there to mix them with those veterans who have, that's kind of like their career third, fourth line. Like we have those guys, but it's the combinations that we see. And it's also that like the consistency is the thing too, is that when you're shuffling those guys around, or if one of those guys is hurt and you're moving this guy from the fourth to the third and that guy from the third to the fourth and changing this guy and switching this guy, first of all, there's no continuity, but I would imagine it'd be hard for those players as well to establish some level of consistency. I mean, not that you're always going to get consistent play from your bottom six. They're your bottom six for a reason. But if at the very least we could get consistently good defensive hockey from the bottom six with the potential for offensive upside, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. We're not expecting the bottom six to go out there and light the lamp. I think the third line, yes, we could certainly use some more scoring from our third line. That's something that we did not get enough of last year. And we saw it be something that definitely contributed to our kind of downfall in general. But yeah, for me, it's got to be that bottom six, just between injuries and also a little bit of a revolving door, like not knowing who's really going to kind of fit in where exactly and how that's going to look. That's something I'm definitely going to be kind of keeping my eye on. I think something I'm most excited for though, it's got to be Laugh. 100% got to be Laugh. I just think, and I feel like he already broke out. Like I don't want to say he's poised to break out. I feel like last year was kind of his like, hey, I'm here. You know, he
Mhm.
took a really big step forward. I don't want to say he like broke out, but I mean he kind of did. He kind of did. He finally showed up and he definitely silenced some haters and gave some people a lot to think about. And I think this year he's just going to build off that. I think it's going to be a really exciting year for him. I think there's a lot to come from him, and I think with that, throw my little prediction for first goal scorer here because he was our
Mhm.
first. So he was our first goal scorer last year,
Which was hype. Very
which was
hype.
insane. I mean, that was awesome. I remember we
Yeah.
were texting about that. We were like, "Holy, like,
Yeah.
just that was awesome." I am gonna switch it up though. I think it's gonna be Kreider.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be Kreider. I don't know if it's gonna be on the power play. I don't know if it's gonna be in the front of the net. But you know, I would just honestly, I hope it's at 5v5. That would be huge if our first goal this year is a 5v5 with
Please,
Smith on
for
the
the
first
love of
line.
God.
I mean, that'd be insane.
Please.
Um, I mean, any way it happens, though, you know, I'll be happy to see the first goal scored. I mean, who won't be happy to see us score a goal? There's right, like that's
Mhm.
just the start you want, right? You want to get excited. We want something to look forward to. Um, yeah, I think Kreids is going to throw it up there. I think he's going to be the one. Who do you think scored the first goal?
I think the first goal scorer is gonna be Sam Carrick. I'm just kidding.
Could you imagine?
I mean, that'd be hype. Um, yeah, that's crazy. I have the picture that you got me of Matt Zuccarello like next to me. I was like,
Yeah.
man, if only he was still on the team.
Oh, you miss him.
Absolute worst trade in history. I think it's gonna be Vincent Trocheck. I think it's gonna be Vinny T. It's gonna be mine.
Can't go wrong with a little Vinny T shout. I mean, he did score a
Yeah,
couple in preseason, right? I mean,
yeah. I think especially if Panarin's not in, and it's just I don't know who would be on that second line actually. Now that I think about it,
good
I know
question.
it'd be Laugh and Trocheck, but
Probably Kako on that line,
ugh, yeah,
maybe.
probably, yeah,
I mean, unless like Phil's back, I guess they could put Phil on the
yeah.
wing on the
Unless they want
second
him to center the
line.
third, I don't know.
Which is I mean, realistically, that's really where he's going to play most of his minutes. But
His face
I
off
don't know. That's
sucks.
I know I don't love him at center. I don't love him at center.
It's a horrible face off player.
It was one thing he was never really able to develop. Well, I mean, maybe Brodzinski slots in as like the third line
Yeah,
center.
because he's just that veteran piece that'll just get up the ice.
He's just
Yeah,
gonna be a bottom six staple all year.
yeah,
I mean, really, realistically, especially if people are getting hurt. Um, so I mean, yeah, maybe they throw like Phil on that second line wing,
yeah.
Brodzinski third line center, Carrick third line center, and then you just fill up the rest of the third and fourth line with Cooley, Edstrom,
Yeah,
Rempe, those guys.
little Johnny Broad. I
Yeah.
like that. I think, yeah, this is the year. I think a cool end for this will be overall from, you know, we are gonna go to 2 episodes a week again, which will be
Mhm,
awesome. Schedule will be probably Monday, Fridays, but depends on work. It'll be 2
mhm.
regardless, but, like, I don't know if we can commit to Monday, Friday every
Yeah.
week, but, so I think to end with this, I could ask you first,
Okay. Okay.
for this as a season as a whole, like, right before the playoffs,
Mhm.
what is your biggest it's kinda like what you were saying before, what is your biggest, hope for a player, for it could be a player, it could be an entire line, it could be a defensive pair, whatever it may be,
Okay.
and then, what's your biggest fear, of course, same regards.
Okay. So I think my biggest hope is that Mika finds his game. And even if he played at the like, even if he shows up and he gives us that like 70-ish points that he scored last year. It's not like, oh my God, that's terrible. You're so bad. Get him off the team. It's just we need a little bit more. That's not the Mika that we're used to seeing, especially after the year he had before last season. I mean, the year before that, he was like around 90 points. When we were talking in our like our offseason episodes when we first started doing Ice Time, we had him as a top 5 center in this league. And you couldn't really argue with it. Now there's a lot more wiggle room in there. There's a lot more of a discussion. It's based off of how he played this year, the lack of 5v5 production, the indecisiveness. So I think, and I would hope that his, having the newborn at home had something to do with it there. I mean, I think that's something that as fans we're just trying to like grasping onto as an explanation for why he had that play, like why he kind of, his play was up here and he kind of came down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to find it, but that's also my greatest hope. I hope that he finds it. Just not only who doesn't love Mika, who doesn't want to see him succeed as a Rangers fan, but I think that's key to our success this year, and especially 5v5 success, and especially, that's really going to kind of make that Smith move look pretty bad if Mika, Kreids, and Smith can't get it together and can't find that game. So I think that's my biggest hope. My biggest fear. And I mean, I know you always go Igor. Igor's never a fear of mine. I always believe in Igor, and I know it's like I know if we get a goal scored against us on Wednesday, I'm gonna get a text from you that's like, "Oh, Igor, like I can't believe it. You should have saved that." Like that's just you're always on the Igor, like because you expect a lot from him, and so do I. But like I'm like he's Igor, like he's gonna figure it out. I'm never worried about Igor. I mean, he's gonna have a few weeks this year where he's bad, whatever. It's fine because he's gonna make up for it when he's in the Vezina conversation, right? Like Igor's gonna be fine. I think my biggest fear, and it's gonna be a little bit different, is the play from Trouba. Genuinely and sincerely, and like not even to like say that funnily, because I know that we give a lot of like kind of you throw a lot of crap at Trouba and all that kind of stuff. But if he can just be not a problem, if he can just give us okay enough minutes, right? We don't need anything spectacular from you. Make a big hit here or there, stand up for a guy here or there. We don't need the elbow. We don't need the Trouba train every 5 seconds. Choo choo, and you're going to get yourself off the ice. Like, we don't need you causing problems. That's what it is for me. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of Trouba trying too hard and coming out and causing problems. And that's something that can seriously hurt us. And we saw it seriously hurt us in the playoffs. So if he's coming out there and he's leading us in penalty minutes and he's starting all these problems and these bad hits and these elbows and he's off the ice for this and he's off the ice for that, and he's turning over the puck, he's missing the net on his when he loves to drive the net, because he always loves to drive the net and then give up possession and give him a breakaway, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of seeing that from Trouba, because if like I said, if he can just keep that to the minimum and just play okay, then we're fine. That's all we need. Nobody's asking you to be crazy, but I think he's going to put the pressure on himself as a leader in that locker room and as a force on this team. And he's going to want to show up, and he's going to want to ball, and he's going to want to do what he needs to do to help us win. And so I'm afraid of him trying a little bit too hard and making some mistakes that are going to hurt the team. And I think he might. I mean, look at the playoffs, right?
God.
What's your, I mean, I guess kind of covered like biggest worry, biggest fear, but what's your biggest hope? Like, what do you really, if you had to highlight, just kind of how you threw me on the spot, but like if you had just one thing you're like, man, I really want that to happen, what are you thinking?
So mine would be, at first I was thinking to say, Igor with another Vezina season, but then I remembered that regardless of how Igor plays in that fact, it didn't win us anything because he can't do everything on his own.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
like you had pointed out, he's always going to be pretty good, except maybe 1 month out of the year. I don't know why he does that, but that's just what he does.
Usually like April too, which is it's always like March, April-ish, and we're like, bro, it's almost the end of the season. Like, what are you doing?
Get it together. Yeah, no,
I mean,
I
he does
agree.
though. But
He
like,
does, but it's like it's always that like, is he? And then he does, and you're like, okay.
yeah,
My biggest hope, and this is on a team, fully, is the 5-on-5. We've been a team that has struggled 5-on-5 for years. Last year was a little better than other years. Mika's a big issue on that. I mean, he went like almost 2 months without a 5-on-5 goal, which is honestly kind of unacceptable. I don't think. I think if I, as a coach, I'd be like, what are you doing? Um, it just wins it just wins championships. I mean, you saw the Oilers; they got as far as they did mainly because of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but they also rely on the power play a lot of times, whereas the Florida Panthers didn't, and that's what allowed the
Yeah.
Panthers in the end to pull it out. And I think you're on 5v5 more than you are on the power play. Obviously, common sense, but
Mm,
we just can't be power play like reliable. We can't just skate around, hold the zone and just perfect. We got a trip
yeah.
call. Now let's score. We need to drive the net. We need to string passes along, and we can't just wait for opportunities. We need to create the opportunities. And this team has had that issue for too long. And
Mhm.
Laviolette definitely corrected it more so, and he did help. And I'm not saying it's all on the coach; it's on the players, of course, first and foremost. And I think another year under Laviolette will help that big time.
Definitely.
And that is my biggest hope. I honestly think if we could become a top 5 team on 5v5, I think the chances of winning the cup skyrocket. And
But yeah, I mean, who's gonna stop us at that point, right?
yeah, exactly. So
Just
that
couple
is
that
my
with I mean, that with the special team success
oh
that
yeah,
we've
yeah,
had over the past. I mean, that's really the key is
that's what
what
it
yeah,
is.
you got a good point.
That's my biggest hope, and my biggest fear ties into your biggest hope. My biggest fear is if Mika just collapses. Like he
Yeah.
instead of going 2 months without a 5v5, he goes 3, 4. He starts playing horrible on the power play. Like he just gets worse and worse. Um, I we can't have that. He's a core member
Yeah.
of this team. He's been a core member, a part of the leadership group, a part of leading the team in points. I freaking love Mika. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great hockey player. But last year he disappointed me. Even though if you look at like if you're an outsider that doesn't watch the Rangers and you just look at his stat line, you're like, oh well, he seemed to play fine. Well,
Mhm.
that's the thing that's tough about it. It's like an illusion. He really didn't. And him and Panarin in the playoffs, they gotta stop. They gotta stop taking vacations. They gotta stop getting
Yep.
shut down so much. That's like I get it. Barkov, it's tough. I get that, but it's the only way to win. So
Yeah.
those are my two intertwined, and I think we both had some pretty good highlights on there because if either of our hopes come true, I think we win, and if either of our
Yeah.
fears come true, I think we lose. So yeah,
Well, I mean, we know this team, right? We know kind of the ins and outs. I mean, we've been getting a lot of the same themes for years now, and I think that this year is really the year if we're going to kind of break the mold, do things that we haven't consistently done in years past, and then kind of take that next step. It's got to be the year, right? I mean, when like we had highlighted, when you look at all the people that we're not going to be able to bring back or have that question mark of can we bring them back? Well, right now we have them, so let's
hmm
use them while
yeah,
we got them. I mean, perfect. Right here, I have this Yankee hat on. It's like the Soto thing. You have Soto right now. I mean, just because I watched the playoff one last night, it's like
yeah.
the perfect. Like you have Soto right now. If they don't win right now, then it's like, when are they going to win in the next few years? Right. That's the situation we're at with these veteran players. There are only so many times that you can run back the same top six of guys. I mean, with the exception of that right wing or that top wing spot that's been a revolving door, but there's only so many times, right? It just becomes crazy at a certain point. At a certain point, if you're not having that success, that's when you really need to retool and we need to think about what we need to do with this roster. And so those are questions we're certainly going to have at this end of this year. Just hope that those questions are, well, how do we try and keep everybody because we just won? That's the
Yes.
question you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
have
yeah.
is how do we maintain the core of this team that just won us the cup? How do we maintain that? What do we do? What pieces are we okay with leaving? What pieces are we okay bringing in to replace those guys? Things like that. Those are questions we want to have. Not how do we get rid of this aging guy who just had a terrible year. So that's really that's what it's going to be about at the end of this year. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, I'm ready to about call this one. I'm ready for the regular season. I think. Do you have any other final thoughts? Or you want me to start closing out?
Yeah, no, I think we can put a bow on it.
Fair enough.
Absolutely pumped. Absolutely pumped. Absolutely excited. This is it.
Yes,
All
sir.
the depression's gone. It's a clean slate, and hopefully we're not depressed further.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, I guess I'll throw my closing thoughts in here before I shoot over you. But yeah, like we had highlighted all episode, it is finally here. The regular season is coming. I know everybody's got to be excited, right? If you are coming back after the off season here, we're glad to have you back. We missed you. But yeah, we're going to keep it rolling. Like we had mentioned, we are going to have an episode out at the end of the week after that first game. So we will definitely get on here, highlight that first game, things we loved, things we didn't, all that kind of stuff. we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about. We cannot wait. So that'll be great. If you are keeping up with the playoffs, the Yankees and the Mets both made it onto the divisional series. So, well, the Yankees were already there. No big deal. Had to buy. But definitely enjoy. That's been fun to watch as well. And actually, as we're recording this, I'm watching the Jets lose. So that's been really fun for me. But just this is a good time of the year, right? Plenty of sports going on, plenty of stuff to watch. Take advantage of that DraftKings deal. Get on there, get a little cold one or whatever. Do what you got to do, make those bets, make it happen. But yeah, very excited, very, very excited. We will definitely keep bringing the content to you guys. Thank you all for sticking out with us, or if you're coming back, thank you for coming back. We will be here. We will always be here bringing you guys what you want to hear. So thank you very much for all the support. That's the last you'll hear me on this one. And I'll shoot over John, close this out.
Wow, yeah, Matt said that pretty perfect. I won't I won't reiterate all of that totally, but yeah, thank you for everybody coming back. We appreciate it. Tell your friends, family, and loved ones about it. I will be plopping my ass down on the couch Wednesday to excitedly watch this team start and start the climb once again to the Stanley Cup. It has to happen this year, or else I'm going to do something I'm going to regret. I think a lot of you will too. So thank you again, as always. Check us out every week here on YouTube or Spotify and Apple Podcast. Check us out at BlueBuzz26 on Twitter. We're on there every day covering games, news, whatever it is. Contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Really appreciate all the love and support, and we will catch you on the next one.